Carnival Cruise Line gets roasted online more than a Guy Fieri burger at sea. Bad food, wild passengers, and chaotic lines. But despite all the noise, it's still one of the most popular cruise lines on the planet. So what gives and why do people keep going back? Hey y'all, I'm Evan with Family at Sea, where we help make every cruise unforgettable. Carnival is the biggest cruise line in the world, and yet it's also the one that gets the most complaints. So why do more people still book Carnival than any other cruise line? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on the brand cruisers love to hate and explain why so many people keep going back anyways. If you're ready, I am. Let's go. Before we get into why so many cruisers keep coming back to Carnival, we've got to talk about why so many don't. Because for all the great fares and fun features, there's a reason Carnival has a reputation. And it's not just for the food or its aging fleet. It's the crowd, the chaos, and what some might call the Carnival experience. From viral incidents to onboard etiquette, let's talk about the stuff that really drives people nuts. If you've seen the Netflix documentary, you already know where this is headed. In 2013, the Carnival Triumph suffered an engine room fire that knocked out power in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. Or is that America? With no propulsion, no AC, and no working toilets, more than 3,000 passengers were stuck at sea for 5 days as sewage backed up into hallways and guests slept on deck in makeshift tents. It became international news, and the internet gave it a name that Carnival still can't escape: the poop cruise. Even now, over a decade later, people still bring it up in the comment sections and cruise forums like it happened last week. It's been burned into pop culture as Carnival's defining moment. What's often left out is the fact that Carnival spent over $300 million upgrading emergency generators, fire suppression, and backup power systems fleet-wide. It was arguably the most significant infrastructure overhaul in cruise history. But reputation isn't fixed with hardware, and Carnival's still working all these years later to flush that image from people's minds. Pun absolutely intended. Carnival's short 3 and 4 night cruises, especially the ones out of regional ports like Galveston and Mobile, tend to draw a certain type of energy. Dirt cheap fares and unlimited drink packages attract a wide range of passengers, but some come on board with zero interest in cruise etiquette. You'll see people vaping in elevators, yelling across the pool deck at midnight, pushing in buffet lines, and treating the hot tubs like a dive bar. When that kind of behavior becomes the norm instead of the exception, it sets a tone that turns a lot of people off. It's why Carnival picked up the Walmart of the Seas label. It's not about class, it's about conduct. The line between fun and obnoxious gets crossed way more often than it should. And sometimes it gets worse. A brawl on the Carnival Jubilee earlier this year ended with 24 guests permanently banned. Now, not every sailing is like this, but those cheap weekend trips are a magnet for people who treat the ship like a floating frat house. If you're cruising for peace, relaxation, and good manners, you'd better choose your ship and your sailing date very carefully. Carnival built its brand on being fun and affordable, but these days the affordable part is starting to feel like a bait and switch. More dining options are showing up with price tags, and included doesn't stretch as far as it used to. Want a lobster tail? That's extra. Want a milkshake or decent coffee? Extra. Want anything from room service? Also extra. And it's not just about the upsells, it's what you're getting for what's included. The main dining room feels like a downgrade for many longtime cruisers. Smaller portions, repetitive menus, and lukewarm service have become common complaints. Even Carnival's most diehard fans have noticed the shift. Brand ambassador John Heald recently defended the food by saying there's always something to eat if people aren't being picky, and he also said they're a family cruise line, not a 5-star resort. And sure, that's true, but when cruisers are paying more for less flavor and fewer options, the math starts to feel off. If you don't mind hitting the buffet and calling it a day, you'll be fine, but if food is one of the main reasons you cruise, Carnival may not leave you hungry, but it might leave you underwhelmed. Carnival's embarkation process can be an adventure. Even with staggered arrival times and preset boarding groups, embarkation often ends up being a full-blown free-for-all with long lines, backed-up security, unclear signage, and a sea of people who all think that they should be next. With thousands of people dragging suitcases, cranky kids in tow, and zero chill in the air, feels more like a theme park on a holiday weekend than the start of something relaxing. When you have to explain to your kids that no, the drug-sniffing dogs aren't there for belly rubs like the ones on the last cruise, the whole thing starts to feel less like a vacation and more like a parole screening. For some, it's all part of the journey, but for others, it's an immediate red flag. Either way, don't expect a warm welcome, just get through it and let the vacation begin once you're past the scanners. Earlier this year, Carnival made a brilliant decision. Let's take the people who spent years racking up cruise nights and tell them, hey, all that loyalty doesn't matter anymore. And they introduced a new program called Carnival Rewards, switching from counting cruise nights to dollars spent. And just like that, the people who had sailed on Carnival for more than 200 nights suddenly found themselves being told, hey, that loyalty only counts if you spend big. And it wasn't just about perks, because let's be honest, Carnival's top-tier diamond benefits have never been that exciting. Priority embarkation is nice, a free bag of laundry is helpful, but compared to what other lines offer their loyal guests, it's pretty underwhelming. So for many cruisers, this wasn't about the value of the perks, it was about the value of their relationship with the brand. And Carnival made it crystal clear, that relationship only matters if it's profitable enough. After widespread backlash, Carnival eventually walked things back, sort of. John Heald and CEO Christine Duffy announced that anyone who reaches diamond status by May 31st, 2026 will keep lifetime status, but by then the damage had already been done. Because if loyalty only counts when it's convenient, was it ever really loyalty in the first place? And for a lot of cruisers, that moment was a wake-up call. Not just to rethink Carnival, but to rethink how they book altogether. Because here's the truth, most people don't realize that booking directly through the cruise line often means paying more and getting less. When things go wrong, you're stuck calling an 800 number and hoping whoever answers even knows the ship you're talking about. A good travel agent, on the other hand, can save you money and your sanity. They lock in group rates years in advance before prices spike. They've got insider relationships that unlock perks and promos you'll never find online, and they actually know how to fix problems before they wreck your vacation. And that's why I always book through Cruises It. They've saved us money, unlocked perks we didn't even know we qualified for, and they always make sure we don't end up like Frank, who showed up at a bus terminal with 3 suitcases and a neck pillow, only to realize his cruise left from a different state. Frank, buddy, I said Fort Lauderdale, not the Greyhound terminal in Fort Wayne, Indiana. With their low price guarantee and real humans who actually know what they're doing, Cruises It makes cruising simpler, cheaper, and way less stressful. So click the link in the description below or call the number on the screen and tell them that Evan from Family at Sea sent you. You'll be glad you did. Still, for all the complaints and controversy, Carnival isn't exactly struggling to fill ships. In fact, they're more popular than ever, so what gives? Why do so many cruisers, some of them very opinionated, keep coming back? It's not nostalgia, it's not inertia, it's not even the price tag anymore. It's because Carnival still gets a few things very right. For the right kind of cruiser, that's more than enough. So here's why Carnival might still be the perfect cruise line for you. There was a time when Carnival was the undisputed champ of cheap cruises, and while that may not always be the case anymore, the reputation itself stuck. Because today, a lot of loyal Carnival cruisers book without even price checking because in their minds, Carnival is the deal. While that's not always true anymore with their constant nickel and diamond on board, it doesn't mean Carnival stopped delivering value. In fact, they're still one of the most affordable ways to cruise. You've got regular deals from dozens of home ports and shorter cruises that don't require a week off work on older ships that keeps costs down and loyal guests coming back. Even if prices have crept up, the barrier to entry is still lower than some other mainstream cruise lines like Royal Caribbean and Norwegian, and that's a big part of Carnival's appeal. It's not about being the absolute cheapest anymore. It's about offering a fun, easy vacation that doesn't break the bank. And for a lot of cruisers, that's still more than enough reason to book. Carnival may not be chasing Michelin stars, but when it comes to variety, they've got that down. From Guy's Burger Joint and Blue Iguana Cantina to Shaq's Big Chicken and Chibang, you're never far from something tasty, or at least nourishing. The main dining room offers solid variety every night with fun surprises like lobster on formal night or warm chocolate melting cake that people will seriously fight over. Plus, there are usually a few specialty restaurants on board like steakhouses, sushi bars, and teppanyaki for when you want to upgrade the experience. Now, is it the most elevated food at sea? No, it's not. But is there something for everyone, including picky kids, adventurous eaters, and late-night snackers? Absolutely. Carnival leans into crowd pleasers, and that's exactly what their food delivers. And the variety doesn't stop with dining. Carnival's bar game is just as strong. You've got themed favorites like the Red Frog Tiki Bar on the pool deck, the Havana Bar with Latin vibes and ocean views, and of course the beloved Alchemy Bar where mixologists and lab coats serve up creative cocktails like they're running a science experiment. Whether you're looking for a laid-back lounge, a spot with live music, or somewhere to sip and people watch, there's no shortage of options. And for some cruisers, that nightly routine of hitting your go-to bar and chatting up your favorite bartender is part of what makes it feel like coming home. Carnival isn't trying to be a luxury brand or a floating resort. They're in the business of fun and they don't exactly do subtle. From the second the sail away party kicks off with DJs, dancers, and half the ship yelling, "Woo!" on the Lido deck, you know what you've signed up for. This isn't a ship for quiet contemplation and cucumber water. It's a ship where the piano bar is packed every night, the comedians don't hold back, and the live game shows are so raunchy you'll forget you're not at a Vegas improv club. Even the production shows are evolving with more live vocals, more energy, and fewer of the "wait, was that supposed to be dancing?" moments. And while some cruise lines give you one or two venues with something happening, Carnival loads up the schedule across the ship so it always feels like something is happening. Is it loud? Yes. Is it over the top? Without a doubt. But if you're the kind of person who thrives on energy and wants to be a part of the action instead of watching it from the sidelines, this is your playground. One of Carnival's biggest secret weapons is how easy they make it to get to a Carnival port. With more home ports across the United States than any other cruise line, it's no surprise that Carnival has become the go-to option for families who don't want to mess with flights. Whether you're near Galveston, New Orleans, Tampa, Mobile, Baltimore, Norfolk, or Long Beach, you can probably drive to a Carnival ship and be sipping a drink by lunchtime. That kind of convenience is hard to beat. It makes short getaways easier to justify, cuts the total trip cost dramatically, and turns cruising into something spontaneous, not just something you plan 9 months in advance. When you can skip the TSA line and still be on vacation by noon, it's easy to see why so many people become loyal to the fun ships. Carnival's casinos aren't just a late-night distraction. They're a full-blown ecosystem with one of the most loyal followings at sea. It's not unusual to meet passengers who cruise several times a year just for the casino perks. And for many, the Players Club offers have become their unofficial loyalty program. Forget points and milestones. These cruisers chase comps, and Carnival keeps them hooked with free drinks, free cruises, and exclusive casino sailings that feel more like reunions than vacations. It's created a subculture of regulars who book whatever ship has the best casino deal instead of what has the best itinerary. And Carnival loves them right back because those spinning slot reels and blackjack tables are a huge part of the onboard profit machine. You'll hear it from Carnival fans again and again. I didn't come back for the ship, I came back for the crew. Carnival has built a reputation for having some of the friendliest, most down-to-earth crew members at sea. They're not just polite or professional, there's a warmth and authenticity that stands out, especially if you've sailed other lines that feel a bit more transactional. It's not uncommon for cruisers to remember their waiter's name, hug their stateroom attendant goodbye, or go out of their way to track down favorite bartenders on future cruises. And while there's always variation from sailing to sailing, Carnival's crew consistently earns high praise, especially considering the scale and price point of the brand. So if you're someone who values real connection and kindness over stiff formalities, this is the one area where Carnival still delivers in a big way. Carnival's not just selling vacations, they're building little floating neighborhoods filled with unforgettable characters. And if you sailed with them more than once, you already know. It's not just about reconnecting with your favorite crew members, it's about the guests you keep bumping into cruise after cruise, at the bar, at trivia, or on the dance floor at the 80s party. People come back because it feels like home. They bring friends, they make new ones, and they become part of communities that only exist on Carnival. I mean, just look at the Alchemy Bar Drinking Society. Yes, it's real. You don't sign up for it. You get pinned by other members, which are guests you've hung out with. They've vetted you and decided that you belong. I even got pinned on my last cruise aboard the Celebration, and I wasn't even trying. That's just what happens when you focus more on pouring into other people instead of just what's being poured into your glass. Because in the end, Carnival isn't just a cruise line, it's a feeling. It's the people you laugh with at the piano bar, the friends who pin you into a secret club without you even realizing it, and the memories that sneak up on you long after you're back home. But here's the bad news. As much as Carnival does right, it's not for everyone. Some cruisers find it too loud, too crowded, or just not their vibe. But the good news? There's a whole world of cruise styles out there, and I finally found one that couldn't be more different. An adults-only cruise line with no kids, no buffets, and a vibe you have to see to believe. So come check out my first ever adults-only cruise with Virgin Voyages. It's bold, it's unexpected, and it might change the way you think cruising can be. If you're ready, I am. Let's go.